Hey, what's good with the YouTube? It's your boy Rojo with the Convicts Perspective. And today I got a special treat for you guys, man. This is a dude I've known 25 years or something. You know what I mean? We done time together. We done a little bit, a couple things together too, man, as far as that gang life goes. Nothing major, but a little something, something. But I can vouch for this dude's story being 100% accurate. Like I said, I've known him a long time, and we'll take it from there. Hey, introduce yourself, brother.
I'm Timothy Farrell, also known as Payaso from Concord. Uh, let's roll.
All right, man. So, knowing that you've been in the gang lifestyle, you were actually done some time in Pelican Bay, all that stuff, validated the whole 9 yards, man. But let's start off at the beginning, man. What got you into the gangs in the first place, bro?
Man, kind of like the family life, you know what I mean? While I was at home, I used to get beat by my parents a lot. And then I'd end up having to go to school. And even at school, I'd fight a lot, And then I started going to juvenile hall, and I'd always have to fight. And it was like really nobody had my back. I had to have my own back fade. I had to take my own fades and do my own thing. So it was like when the gang life came around, I didn't really know. I'm Black and Mexican, so I was raised by my father, who's an African American, and then my stepmother, she's a white woman, so she used to always beat me, and then I go to school and have to always fight, stuff like that. So by the age of 14, I knew some guys from juvenile hall that were coming out into the streets, and they were recruiting. So I was like, hey, it seemed like a fun thing to do. Oh yeah, shoot, I want to join because I wanted to be accepted, because I felt that's where I got my acceptance, and that now with a crew of people, they would have my back. And so that's what happened. And the older gentleman, he was about 35 years old. And I think back about it like, dang, 35-year-old man running a crew of 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids. And the stuff my dad used to say to me, at that time, I was kind of like, man, it's kind of wild. But now as an adult, I think back, going through experiences and stuff like that, like, you know what? You never know. Things could have went bad. Things could have happened badly. But so yeah, at the age of 14, I got jumped into. My clique was East Bay Norteños. That was the younger clique. And then the older clique was Norte Mafia. And so, at that time was a drive-by era. That was about 93. So I didn't really know Spanish at the time either. So a lot of the times when people were like, Cubale and speaking Spanish, I didn't know what they were saying. I went to CY in 93 and 94, and people were saying Cubale. I thought they were calling some guy named Hugo. I thought they were saying Hugole, and I was like, hey, Hugo, right? I was like, damn, Hugo must be a popular guy. I'm going to try to be like Hugo around here. Hugo must be in charge around here. And then the homies had Visalia on them, Visa, and I was like, hey, well, what if I get MasterCard on me, right? And the homie didn't like it. So they started teaching me.
I would have been dead, bro. I would have been fucking dead.
They started teaching me Spanish words, and I was like, damn, and I had curly hair, and I was always clowning. That's why I got the name Payaso, They always gave me the name Payaso. I wanted like a hard name like Scarface or, Gangster or something, and they were like, no, you're Payaso Clown. I was like, fuck, dude, my dad's never going to accept this, Fucking what do I got, like a Bozo the Clown nose or something? My curly hair, is that what it is? When I'm going to get a 6'9" Takashi clown hairdo or something, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But 6'9", well, he wasn't around then. But I would have probably been the first if I'd have colored the wig like rainbow colors. I've been the first.
Hey, when we came up though, rainbow always meant, it meant
yeah.
It was that wouldn't have flew over too well.
It just came out. It still means the same thing, but you know what I mean. Now that it's like a fad, everybody's like, hey, it's a fad to be a fag, No, nothing to nobody, because I'm fake gay at times. No worries.
Oh shit! Hey, what got you in YA anyway? I don't remember that one. I know why you went to the pen.
Cause some guy, man, there was this 18-year-old kid, man. I was trying to come up back then, you know? So I was like, me and my buddy got together and we had our last little $100, right? So we're like, man, we're going to hustle. You know, we're going to get some doses and some weed and we're going to hustle, right? So we met this older white guy and he was like 18. He was like, yeah, bro, I can get you guys doses and everything, right? So we're like, cool, right? Boom, give him the 100. So he's like, hey, bro, I was living in Pittsburgh at the time. And he tells me, hey, wait at the Taco Bell and we'll be right back because, you know, the Connect, he doesn't want anybody else around. I'm like, hey, I understand, right? So, bam, I waited at the Taco Bell and I'm like, hold on, something's telling me look out the window at them. So then I look out the window and I see the car bust a U-turn. I'm like, oh, shit. And so I come out, I'm like, hey. And then he's like at the window, like, yeah, hold on, right? And I watched them taillights go all the way to the freeway from Bailey Road up Willow Pass to the entrance of the freeway. And I'm like, oh, these fools got me. And at that instant, it just started pouring rain. I had to walk like a mile home in the rain, right? So I get home and my cousin's there. Too. I get home, my cousin's there. He's like, what? What happened to you, right? And I'm like, bro, these fools got me. Nigga, I told you fuck with the white boys, right? And so I'm feeling like shit already. I'm like, shut up, man. Come on, man. And you know, he's like, what? Them niggas got you, right? So I'm feeling like, no, right? Like I just wanted to just break down and cry, you know? And so late night, this fool gives me a call. Bring. And at that time, we didn't have no cell phones or nothing. It was a house phone, right? So bring, I get the phone call. Hello? He's like, hey, bro, sorry, man. My mom just bailed me out from juvie hall and yada, yada. And I'm like, man, I've been to juvie hall. You can't get bailed out. And it's the weekend. You would have been up in there till you seen the judge.
Yeah, you had to see cats. You had to see cats. You had to see cats,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I tell him, hey, no worries. Come on back. I got another 100 for you. No worries. So he's like, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm like, cool. So bam, he's coming back later at night to give me again, to bust the okie doke on me again. So bam, I tell my cousin, hey, look, grab the bat. I grab this big old heavy duty pipe wrench. And I'm like, we're about to fuck this dude up, right? So fucking, he comes, he gets out the car and he's like, yeah, party time, bro. And so, long story short, I ended up beating him with the pipe wrench. Broke his elbow, broke his ribs, broke his knee, broke his shoulder. And yeah, did him bad. And the police came and they were like, we want Timothy because I had the record. So, bam, long story short, went to CYA.
Where'd you go?
Yeah. I was in Carl Holden and Preston. Went to Carl Holden. I was in Sierra Hall, the drug program. And, you know, I didn't really know anything about gangbanging. So Sacramento, Salinas, Stockton, all these guys had big cars. And the Fresno Bulldogs, I didn't know they weren't like part of the homies no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
so, you know, until I learned more about history later in time, you know, but I seen this guy, he was like a 21-year-old man, right? And I was 14, 15. He had North in him. So I was like, hey, what's up, homies? And just thought everybody was loving, you know, hey, what's up, you know, joking with everybody, you know, so I got the games ran on me, you know. Of course, I was the crash dummy, you know. You know, they ran the crash dummy course. I had the helmet on because I wanted to ride the go-kart first, you know. So the quack, they were like, quack. Well, I got the quack all the way to the end. Like, you ain't quacking me. You know, you gonna quack up on me. I'm riding that go-kart. Right? So, yeah, fucking I had the crash dummy helmet on to prevent me from crashing my head into the wall. But, so I tried to go home like in 6 months, and they weren't letting me go home, man. You know, these guys were, you know, my noodles, man, my soups and shit. They wanted my soups. And like, man, my dad works hard for this shit, man. You know, I'm not just going to keep giving this shit up, you know, fucking, like next they're going to come for my butt. You know, there was already a dude. There was already a guy in there, you know, that had some dilemmas, man. I was like, man, Like, nah, man, fuck this. I'm fighting, man. Fuck it. I'm fighting. I told my dad I'm not coming home, man. Told my they're not gonna let the counselors even laughed at me. You know? Like, fuck, I'm that funny. I'm that funny that even the counselors, I can't even get no protection. So fuck it. I had to start. So I had to start.
And you're wondering why they named you Payaso.
That's fucked up, man. My life is a fucking joke, man.
That shit's
So
hilarious.
yeah. So I had to start fighting. I started fighting fucking guys 18, 19, 20, 21, and I was beating cats asses, you know? And so then I wasn't able to graduate the drug program. I completed it, but I wasn't able to graduate it. And then they were moving everybody, so they moved me over to Yuba Hall, lockdown, because I was getting in trouble. So bam, I went over there, and then they said, well, we're moving you to Preston. You're a troubled kid. We're moving you to Preston. So the morning I was moving to Preston, some cat called me a bitch or something like that. And I ended up putting bees on him, went with a little butterfly stitch over my eye. You feel me? So, I came to Preston already looking rough, but I maxed out my time. And then, a so-called came up, you know what I mean? And so that's when I was like, really felt I had a point to prove, started pleating my pants and baby cuffing them and, really orale and, pushing that line, like really out there, like, gang banging, you know what I mean? Like I wore everything, the way that was supposed to be worn. I spoke the way and I acted the way, you know what I mean? So it's so that when I got out, I started pushing that line. And when I got out, I was probably like 16. And then I went back for a gun case. Me and another cat, I won't mention his name, and they tried to have us, they had us under investigation for a homicide. And they were trying to get us to tell on each other. And I told him, look, man, they're going to tell you that I'm telling on you, and they're going to tell me you're telling on me. He had never really been through the whole interrogation. So then we were communicating through the vent, and he was like, man, they tell you're telling on me. I said, I told you that's what they're going to say. I said, watch this. So when they came, I said, hey, man, why you guys telling him that he's telling on me? I know he ain't telling me, and I ain't telling on him. So take us to jail, right? So bam, they cut all the interrogation. They put me in a different cell, and then they took us both to juvenile hall.
You're lucky they didn't put no recorder in the damn wall.
They probably, yeah, they probably did, but we didn't.
Where were you at? Were you at Concord PD?
Nah, Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay, yeah. Concord PD would have had the recordings all in the wall and shit.
Yeah, so they had the gun. They had a gun, and they were like, "This was the gun used." We was like, "Man, that wasn't the gun used, man. Don't run that line. We'll take us to court." So we had to go to court, and then in court, he had a lawyer, and the lawyers spoke for him, basically saying the gun was mine. So I said, fuck that CYA shit, because all that's going to happen is they're going to want to, whatever the fuck it was called, 1400, 1800, one of those, where they send you back to court. And they were always threatening to do that to me because I was always fighting. So I was like, fuck that. Let's go to the big house, man. I mean? I'm ready to kick it off. I'm 18 years old. This is what I'm doing. This is where it really matters. This is what's influencing CYA. Why the fuck would I go back there? Why don't I just go to the pen? So I went to the county jail for a year where everybody was at, and I just started kicking shit off. You know what I mean? Every time they could have been a paisa from McDonald Street in Richmond or Monument Boulevard in Concord, but they was getting it bad. So anytime I caught somebody slipping that even had an orderly to them, from Monument Boulevard or from McDonald, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was getting on them. So court holding was getting on them. I ended up in Q module, and then I was getting into it with other people too. You know what I mean? I get off with whoever, you know what I mean? Whoever didn't show me respect. We got into it over the TV area, before, and they moved me to Q module, and then Q module was on Q module. And then you already know how that goes. Was kicking it up there, popping out of the cells, Yeah, once I learned how to pop out of that cell, I was out of that cell. But I was doing Houdini moves. So, it was coming out fighting all the time. And then anybody that needed that run back on them got that. So, remember we made that wine. You showed me how to make the wine. We got fucked up. I ended up dancing butt naked.
Hey, we used to terrorize Q-Mafia.
Yeah. So he was the first guy that
come here. Your people are over here. I'll bring you to him because I left Tella White. He was like, come on. Yeah, we used to be scandalous, bro. Yeah.
In this corner, we up over here, man.
Right there. There's your homies right there. See that guy? That's your homie right there. He's your guys' leader. Yeah.
Come up in here. Yeah, so then I did that county jail year 1995. So 93, 94 was CYA, 95 was county jail. Then I got out in 95, 96. And I was like, my homies from Concord, I started getting with other homies from Concord, and there wasn't a lot of homeboys that were really like that, you know what I mean? That were really like with the business like that. But I was like, as long as I had a driver, it was good. I did stuff on foot too. I do stuff on, my feet, So I lived right down the street from where they was all at. So, and then there was some that lived on the street that I was on. So it was always shit happening,
Yeah, I was living right there off Lacey Lane. I already know.
Yeah. I was on Sierra Road. Stuff was always happening over there. But so what happened is one incident, that I got busted for, some guys came through banging whatever, you know what I mean? And I shot myself in the hand. As you can see, it was a 25 that went through this finger, blew through those fingers, this came out this finger, because them little prickly balls from the tree, those ones?
Yeah.
Well, they
little round ones with the spikes. Yeah.
Yeah. When they're brown, they get real hard.
Yeah.
Like real hard, you know what I'm saying? And so what happened is I ran to the end of the street with this gun and I slipped. I was wearing these Nike Cortezes and it was dirt in them little hard prickly things and it turned into like roller skates and fucking I did the Superman and pow! I thought I shot myself in the head, but I shot myself in the hand and when I got up, everything was slow motion. And I see my finger one finger was dripping blood and the other finger was squirting blood. And then my first finger was just burnt up. So my boy took me to the hospital, which was the dumbest thing I could have done, So I went to the hospital and then Concord PD showed up. And I was so drunk that all I threw up was Hennessy. It was E&J. E&J was drinking the Urka Jerk at the time.
That low budget Hennessy.
Yeah. No, it was the VSOP now. It was the long neck. So I had that one. They said, well, you're under investigation for this other case, which was it was a broad daylight shooting, 4 corners. That one, it was like the young homies called me on that one and they were like 911. This is when we had the pagers. So I go on the phone, call them, man, what's happening, And like, man, we need you, man. They just jumped us at school, tried to stab the homie. I said, hell with that. We're bringing it to them broad daylight then. So, bam, we rolled down there and caught him slipping at the light, man, right there. And I got out, started busting, bah, bah, bah. And then got back in the car. We followed them down to their hood. And then, bam, came out the window. I dropped the load I had. And I used to always carry revolvers, because revolvers I could load quick, unload quick, and keep my bullets. So then I started getting off again, bah, 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 and then took off and we hit the freeway and got away. And then once we got on the freeway, police were blocking the whole city off, had stuff on the news, had the helicopters coming out, everything. And so they busted everybody that wasn't in the car with me. And so then them guys, like later that night or the next day, they were out. And like one of the homies was like, man, they're out. Like, how are they out? You know what I mean? I was like, man, that fool's probably telling. And then they were still like, hey, what's up, right? And I was like, yeah, all right. So then when I went down, then I found out who was telling. I was like, damn, I did this shit for these dudes. These little bastards can't even take a little 9-month boys ranch or something. You know what I mean? Well, I'm facing 47 years, So it was like, I wasn't tripping because it was like I was living that life like that. And I already knew that, a lot of these cats, they weren't living it like that. You know, a lot of these cats are like how these social media cats are. Now they're just doing social media. Before you already just, you knew who the fuck they were, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, clicks were trying to get deep. They were trying to get manpower. So that's what happened, you know?
No doubt,
and
no
then,
doubt.
so then I got that. Then they were lowering it down to 17 years. Then they offered a deal of 10. And I went pro per, and I was like, nah, you know what? I'll take 9 years. But I was at the age, I was like, fuck it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like Sesame Street says it. Right.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? And didn't think how much would change in 9 years. Right. So I took that 9 years, you know, my dad looked at me down there crying. You know, there was a court date where, you know, my dad, they had to postpone because I popped out of the holding cells and got on this cat. You know, they had me in D module walk alone, you know, and there was this guy from Richmond. He was a Golden Gloves, you know what I mean? And he was like, hey, Paya, I think I could take you. I was like, nah, bro, I don't think you could take me, man. You know, and I tell you, his name was Loco from Richmond, right? I told him, quit playing with me, man. Quit playing with my door. You don't want that, right? So when I came down to holding, the cop, he swung the door shut, and I held it on the lock. And then, so bam, then he seen, and so he called and was like, yeah, hey, I need to use the bathroom. So when he came out, I just threw that thing up there. Yeah, boo. Boy, receiver. That boy received my fist on his nose like Jerry Rice and Montana. Right?
Yeah.
And he just heard his nose explode, right? So instantly, both of these eyes just swelled like just whoop, right? Instantly raccoon, right? So they postponed my court date. So I had all that shit against me. So when I was going to prison, I was already max level. So then I went to West Block. I was already like a level 3. So I got to San Quentin, I got put under investigation for a slashing assault on the upper yard on this guy. And so they had me under investigation, and I went to East Block. So when I went to East Block, that's when I really started learning about, you know, the NF organization, the structure, BGF, AB, MN, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that was 96, about February of 96. So I was back there pushing up concrete with those fellas, you know what I mean? And, you know, people were always getting removed. And the boy Chico Rose was there at the time. You know, Rose, Robert Rose, Chico. Yeah, he was there at the time. And he was a real asshole. He was a real asshole that just was like, talked real tough, you know, and it was like, man, this dude right here, man. And then I could tell he was, one time I got brought back from the yard late. I missed my call or something. So I got brought back late and caught the fool sleeping while we were supposed to be doing burpees or something, right? So he woke up and was like, Paya, right? So I had to write a 500 word essay. That was my first 500 word essay. I was so pissed off. I wrote essays before in the county with started schooling me in the county jail when I was going up with Smiley from Richmond or San Pablo, and then Smiley from Oakland. Smiley from Oakland was a 3-striker. He's still up in there. He got like double life. And then Smiley Rudy Ibarra from Richmond. He was an old head from the 80s, one of the first hermanos that was pulled in the Nuestra Raza. When it came out, he was one of the first that the filter came out to on the yard in San Quentin. So, yeah, he had been around since back then. Actually, he was an old school NSL, Northside Locals out there. And they had a pretty strong regiment at that time in that area that was bringing a lot of money. They were cooks and stuff like that, you know, in those times. So from San Quentin, I ended up going to High Desert, and went to High Desert level 3, and I was there for a little bit, and there were things going on that I was like questioning and things that were going against my schooling. So I started questioning stuff. And they were like, hey, are you hermano, this and that? I'm like, nah, I'm just, educated on this and that, you know what I mean? And this shouldn't be how things are going. Hey, I'm down to kick it off if it needs to go, right? So I ended up getting shipped to Centinela, as far as you can go down south in California. So Donovan is the ass end of California. El Centro, California is the dick end of California. The very bottom you can go in California. When we dipped in that Mexico border, I said, oh, shit. So I get out, I tell the homies, look, we're going to get off the bus. We're going to try to establish a yard. Just tell them you're not anything. We're going to get out to the yard and we're going to establish, right? So they were like, okay. Well, the homies, as soon as the cops came, they told them, yeah, we're Northerns, So they went to the hole so they could go to a northern yard. I got off the bus like, I'm nothing, right? So the holding cell was like 40 Southerns, and they started taking down their jumpsuits. So I played side. I take off my jumpsuit. I got a big star on me, Concord on my chest. I got, all the essentials of gangbanging right there. So, I took mine down too. I had a blade in my mouth. Like, fuck it, I'm going to just start going ham. And once people start seeing blood, hey, I might get stabbed. I might get killed, but somebody's going to get this blade slashed right. I'm going to open this shit up, and they didn't want that. They didn't want anything. I don't think they wasn't scared. I think it was just like, let this motherfucker get out to the yard, because then we're going to have all of our artillery. We just shank his ass up, So they bring me to C Yard, right? C Yard, and it's nothing but, I've never seen so many Southerns in my life. I mean, there was probably 3 blacks in the block. There was 2 Bulldogs, and the rest were Southerns. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a stronghold they had. So, yeah, I went out to that line, seen it wasn't cool. I tried to get at the brothers to slide me some so I could get off. They told the Southerns, so then they started getting ready. So I came out first thing in the morning, dropped 2 of them, and then they put me back in the cell. The cops were like, we're going to let them get their runbacks now. So I was in the cell, shaved my head. At that time, we was doing the little Mongolians and shit. So I had me a little Mongol, you know what I mean, rocking my little beaker thing going, shaved my head, busted down a razor, got the razor ready to come out and just start slashing, And so then they told me, pack my shit up. I'm going over to D Yard. So I go over to D Yard. When I'm on D Yard, I find out, oh, man. I said, there was 2 homies that were airlifted up out of there. And then we were trying to get into the metal shop and everything like that. But they wouldn't let us into the PIA. The Southerns wouldn't. And then they were trying to tell us to put our shirts on. I said, I ain't wearing my shirt. I'm not putting my shirt on, And so they were like, dang, why you being defiant? This is stuff like I started seeing, like, how many weak individuals. I mean, there were things that I went on that nobody wanted to help on. And it, I started seeing that, yeah, man, there ain't so many soldiers in here. There's a lot of cats claiming, but ain't a lot of cat soldiers like that. You know what I mean? Everybody trying to go home. You know what I mean? And so I was like, fuck it, man, let's kick it off, right? And I was only there 3 weeks, and then I kicked off a riot. So I got off on C Yard. They moved me to D Yard, kicked off a riot on D Yard. They sent me to the hole. So I was in the hole, and then I was in the hole for 7 months, and some shit happened in the hole, and they were like, you know what, you're going to level 4. So then they sent me over to High Desert, level 4, C Upper. I was in C Upper, C6, and I was over there in C6 with Drew from Hayward, Little Man from Dinah, Porky from Daly City, and that's about it. But you know what I mean? That's where things were coming from, you know what I'm saying? So then I started my education. That's where I got recruited, and that was 97. So 97, I got recruited, and I was recruited into Nuestra Raza, and then I was put in charge as NRS, Nuestra Raza Security at first, and then later became Norteño teacher, so then there was conflict over the Nuestra Raza Northern Struggle Foundation thing, because of the filters, who they were coming from. But they were like, the filters of the NSF were from Seaside. So these were from the upper echelons of the organization that need to be acknowledged. So, I wasn't worried about it. It was like, whatever. But what was happening was you had Northerners coming in and they were like expecting to have the same status. Like, oh, no, nobody's got status no more. But you got to learn about the experience. People got experience in this. You know what I mean? And the experience people have in this and the time, not just the experience of doing time, but the experience of putting in work, the experience of educating people, the experience of being educated, those types of things. Top educator inside of it, because there was a lot of people that were educated and that educated me. And at the same time that I was brought up under, I mean, like the two Smileys were pretty educated. Okay.
All right, we had a little technical difficulty, man, but as you were saying, the two Smileys were educated in what?
Yeah, so that's where I learned a lot of weaponry. We were busting down a lot of metal, and we were doing Houdini shit, man. I mean, we were doing some pretty wild shit up in there, man. That should have been on Unsolved Mysteries, man. So yeah, they taught me a lot. But so coming up, I wasn't raised up under coddling. I wasn't raised under passive guidance. I was raised under, militancy, people that were really pushing a line and that had a line pushed on them. So it was like, if you're going to stay alive, you're going to survive in this, you know what I mean? You're not just going to be the next guy that gets whacked, or the guy that's just following along, you got to be strong in this. And so I pushed a line too. People considered me an iron fist or whatever, what have you, so be it. I pushed the line that I pushed for the time that I was there, so then, people started telling on me. The COs kidnapped me one time, put me in another block to try to make me look like I had pieced it up. A hunger strike, got back to the block with the homies, and they ended up turning D6 into the CC3 yard for the homies. So so some guys told on me, people told, said this or that, that I was structured and that I was, some people said I was, abusing my power or whatever. So they validated me. And then I stayed in the hole for like 2 years. And then I went to Pelican Bay SHU. And when I got to Pelican Bay SHU, I was in D6 the whole time. I was in A module, and when I was in A module, I was there with Tonito from Wilma's MM member. Pretty cool dude. I mean, always showed me love. I mean, hooked me up, food, everything. You know what I'm saying? For the time there, made the time comfortable. You know what I mean? I always had my eyes open, whatever. So then, Littles from San Fran was in D pod, and Pancho from Fresno was in C pod, and he was there with all the BGF guys, And so yeah, while there, I started writing litigation on phones because phones weren't approved inside Pelican Bay SHU. So I started litigation on receiving phones so we could get phone calls, and the ways that phone calls could be made available and securely. And then at that time, I think it was Sleepers or Sleepy, a Mexican mafia guy, Sleepy. He was telling me, well, we're pushing to get the SHU shut down, right? I said, well, in the meantime, between time, we can still push for these phones. So if we can't get it shut down, we could get phone calls. You know what I'm saying? At least. So I said, there's a way for that to be done. So that started pushing, and then I got clearance. The courts actually accepted. The Supreme Court actually accepted my motion, but once I paroled, because it wasn't taken over by anybody, it was deemed moot. You got the key later. Yeah. So so I ended up paroling after 5 years, but while there, I was educator of street functions, educator of training, warfare. I mean, you name it. I mean, you know, I did a lot of spills, a lot of education, a lot of concepts, and that's where I was taught about concepts. And so when I was educated concept, I actually was able to take, you know, my experiences and the vision that I had and be able to put those concepts into further description. So when I got out, I kind of, you know, I was angry at the system. You know, I was like, you know, fuck that, man. These motherfuckers put me in this whole time, and then I'm supposed to get out and get a job. So I got out, tried to get a job, and I was living in Antioch, over on L Street, and there was a guy named Shadow, a homie named Shadow. He raps with Big Tone, right? Well, he did rap with Big Tone and Woody and them at the time. Well, before that, so I got out and I went to get a job at 24-hour fitness, Nautilus, and I got hired. But because of my record was so fresh, the Soul with a Deadly Weapon, that they didn't hire me. But he had hired me. He was the manager there for a second, and so then I got out and I started getting at the homies in the streets, and I started getting things established, and you know, the East Bay Regiment. But then at the same time, because the East Bay Regiment was going through some changes because of go in there, because of what was taking place with the new power struggle that was happening with the elders. Go on in there, with the elders being taken out of Pelican Bay Shoe and taken over to Alameda, and then different regiments being established through them, and them putting out filters wanting to keep control of Salinas and certain areas that were bringing in finances, right? Just being greedy. So, you know, then there was the new filters that were coming out with DC and them in the shoe. So then there was Juanito from Los Baños. And so he was my channel at first. And he was the individual that I was getting at and sent money and stuff to. And then it comes out, oh, he dropped out. And then there was Conejo, and I was getting a Conejo from Sacra, you know, and you know, then it went back and forth with him. Oh, he's on freeze, or this about him, that about him. And it was like you couldn't get anything clear. And then Jason Trias, he was an individual from Richmond. I'd known since the Boys Ranch, you know. And so then things came out about him that he actually was a federal informant, you know, and that you know, you know, the big lizard thing came out, you know what I mean? So all this was coming out. And so then I was up against all of this, you know, like, damn, now what am I supposed to do? Now there's no channel to get at, you know what I mean? So that cut an artery right there. Like, you know, you need to tap in. Okay. But now there's this power struggle and these filters going out. Now you need to tap in with the feds, or you need to tap in with the state. So then I started getting with the homies from San Jose too. You know what I mean? My boy Joker. And, you know, but then they had a thing going with Salinas. You know, they were going back and forth with Salinas. You know, San Jose was telling Salinas to stay out of San Jose. Salinas was pushing the line to continuously take over. And then it was like 1 minute they were taking over for the feds. The next minute they were taking over for the states. 1 minute they communicated with the state. Next minute they were up under the guys in the feds. So then, you know, you had all these different names like Stork coming out, you know what I mean? All the different names, you know? So it was like, you never really knew who was in charge. So then I ended up going back after 3 months for a appeal case. And then I got an attorney, and I ended up getting time served on that. But I was in San Quentin Hole. So when I was in San Quentin Hole, well, let's rewind a little bit. The first time they tried to deem me no good, calm down, dog. First time, get in there. The first, hey, go on. The first time they tried to deem me no good, it was the homie Mondo from Pittsburgh and Lefty from San Fran. You know what I mean? They filed some reports, and I mean the reports. I don't think they tried to deem me no good, but I think they were trying to, you know what I mean, have me sweat a little. So they sent all these charges, and then I went ahead and justified my activities. You know, I justified the activities that were going on, you know, and I expressed, you know, I never degraded or put anybody down. It's just, you know, I mean, shoot, you know, I mean, you have to acknowledge and respect the authority in charge. Period. I was the authority in charge. You're gonna acknowledge and respect me one way or another. Either you're gonna, you know what I mean, you're gonna give the respect because I give it. You know what I mean? You're gonna receive the respect, right? Or I'm gonna have to take it. You know what I mean? You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, the C's aren't going to conduct themselves way. You're going to respect the authority in charge there, so you're going to respect the authority in charge that's been given to me by them. You know what I mean? So, you know, so I ran that line, but anyhow, I filed my reports, got cleared, everything, right? So, bam. Now, fast forward to the situation. Now I'm back. I'm back over here in San Quentin, right? So I called one of my dudes from the hole, right? Well, no, hold on. I did that time, was in San Quentin, got out, right? So I got out and then was still putting the regimen together. And this was about the time that I got with the Big Tone in them. You know what I mean? I started, you know, rounding up homies that were rapping, you know, and was trying to really unify homies. You know what I mean? That was my main concern. It wasn't really, my main concern wasn't taxing homies, you know what I mean? Because that was still like, I seen like with you, you know, when you were out in the East Bay, you know what I mean? That it wasn't met with open arms to really, you know what I mean, pay dues like that. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember you were more out in Oakland a lot, you know? So I was like, Contra Costa is a different, it's a different area. And then there's a lot of homeboys that are on dope, you know? So it's like, you know, dealing with the area, it was like, rather than turn homies against us, we need to be bringing homies together with us and to be able to allow them to see why they should be supporting in this fashion, you know, because a lot of individuals saying pay these dues, but they're not expressing why these dues should be paid. You know what I mean? All people are seeing is just, you know what I mean, some money going on somebody's books to, you know what I mean, get their commissary fat. So, you know, that's what I was bringing is like, look, you know what I mean, put that on pause right here. You know, I'm taking, you know, I'm functioning, so I'm taking care of what I'm taking care of. But, you know, my main thing was unifying homies. So I seen all the homies that was rapping and stuff like that, that everybody had their cliques, you know, they had their cliques that they were with, you know. So I was like, okay, this is a good way to unify the homies, you know what I'm saying? Through these guys. So that's what I was doing is my main thing was unification of the streets. So I started unifying all through Contra Costa, started unifying all through Oakland, Hayward, Dakota. I mean, you name it, all through the East Bay. I was all through there, and then expanding further into Salinas, San Jose, and was talking with them homies. And so then I tapped in with Salinas a bit, and San Jose too. And so then I ended up going back to prison for a violation, and during that violation, they took moves to take over the regiment because they seen money being made and made moves, man. I mean, I tried to called my baby mom and I called an individual that I was that I had, you know, with me within functions and was like, you know, look, man, you know, tell these guys to call me. I'll tell them where some money's at. You know what I mean? And we can take it from there. But I'm in jail. I can't do shit right now. I got to take care of this. Right. So that's what happened. And the guy that was supposed to be my boy, he turned on me. And he was like, bro, I'm just playing the dummy role with these guys right now. You know, I'm you know, I ain't saying that. I said, just give them my number letter. They already know I'm gonna be in Quentin, you know, within a week. You know, I'll be in the hole and we can go from there. I'll file my reports and everything. So he was like, all right. So bam, a week later, once they knew I was in San Quentin hole, what they did is they made moves. That guy, because he you know, he betrayed the trust because my baby mama knew him and knew he was my folks. allowed him to come through. You know what I mean? So then these other guys come through and was like, hey, look, you know, we need his clothes, we need his jewelry, we need his car, everything, right? So yeah, they started making moves, and they stole my car. You feel me? They stole my car. They got receipts from my baby mama. They like, yeah, all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? And then so bam, I didn't even know. And then Quentin, you get your mail hella late in the hole. So bam, I get this mail hella late, and my baby mom, like, they threatened to kill me, you know, if I didn't you give up this stuff, you know. So, you know, they stole your car, all kinds of shit, right? And I was like, man, stuff didn't seem, you know, too in order with what she was saying in the letter. So I was like, and you know, you can't get calls or nothing. So I was like, fuck, man, you know, these motherfuckers waited till I got here and made this scandalous ass move. No reason, you know what I mean? I wasn't able to file no reports, nothing. So I filed the reports, and these reports went up the chain of command and eventually got to Cornell, and Cornell was cleared. You know what I mean? He was cleared and things were good. And he was like, look, you know what I mean? These moves didn't need to be made. We're going to send filters out. And then right after that, he gets put on freeze again. Right. So then I was with Cyclone from Salinas and a few other heads up in San Quentin. And they were like, man, fuck that, man. Fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, they, you know, gave me, you know, scripture to go back, you know what I mean, to the county jail because I was going back to fight the case, to go back. He's, you know, Paya's all good. He's cleared. You know, everything's golden, right? So I go back to the county jail, and in the county jail, they're like, you know, the homie, there's Elo was there, and the other homie that he had the murder with,
right?
I forgot his name, but yeah, but he was like, man, they want us to whack you, P. You know, I'm like, man, I got kites right here, man, from Quinn, man. I just came from Quinn, man. We're inside. Them dudes is outside. I don't know who the hell's telling you what. But they were like, well, Mousie's telling us, Mousy from Daly City, they were like, Mousie's telling us that you got to go. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, what grounds do they have, though? What grounds do they have to do this to me, you know? There's no grounds, you know what I mean? There's no facts. So I get on the phone with this cat from Frisco, and I'm talking to him, and Nitty's talking like he knows all about me, knows my case, knows this and that. And I was like, bro, you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything that's going on. I'm going to tell you the facts. Nobody's even allowing me to speak. Nobody's allowing me to give my side of the story. You know what I mean? That's due process. That's something I brought to the cause, is due process, because too many people were getting whacked. Too many people were getting removed. People were getting deemed for unrighteous reasons with no due process. People not even being able to state their side of their story, you know? And it was like, oh, well, you know, it was over some guy's old lady who was a bag chaser. And well, you know what I mean? You're taking the bag chaser and making her your old lady and know what kind of girl she is, because that's how you came up on her. You know what I mean? You were smoking dope with her out there, so you know how the broad already is. You know what I'm saying? And then try to bring her into the politics like, oh, my old lady, and you got these dope fiend whores, you know, sitting and saying that you know, my old man said this, my old man said that, right? Like, come on, man. You know, you got the fucking, you're shooting yourself up with heroin, you're smoking dope, and you're sitting here trying to have power because you're sending some money somewhere, you know? So then you had carnals that were like, fuck that shit, man. Fuck that bitch, you know what I mean? And we're like, the hitters though. And I kept in touch with a lot of hitters, you know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so what ended up happening is I was really highly upset. I said, okay, fuck it. When I get out, then I'm going to regulate. So I went through all that. And then I told, it was Randy Salazar. So I told him, hey, man, fuck that. You ain't got to worry about those guys. I'm in here with you. You got to worry about me. I'm coming to that holding cell. So fuck it. If I feel that you're going to do me like that, then fuck it. I might as well do you like that. And then so fucking Mousy and them, I never heard Mousy saying nothing, but it kept coming from Mousy's old lady and Mousy that I was supposed to get whacked. So I was like, fuck that shit. Then Mousy got to get whacked. You know what I mean? So I put it back on him. And then that's when he ended up going his, you know what I mean? So now he's
Hey,
pissed off.
You broke up for a second, man.
Off.
You broke up for a
Yeah,
second. Start when you said you put it back on Mousy. What happened?
yeah, I put it back on Mousy, and then that's when Mousy went his own way, you know, and you know, was upset at me over that. But it was like, man, you trying to have me whack? Why not? Why shouldn't I have you? Why should I let you whack me and me not have you whack? I don't see that. It's like, let me give you my asshole and not expect no asshole back. Nah, fuck that. I mean, you know, the analogy of that kind of, but you know what I'm saying? So anyhow, that whole thing, that was a big power struggle in itself. And it all had to do with the shit that's going on. You know, this whole Fed state bullshit, you know what I mean? That's happening. And people are trying to get it together. But so then what ended up happening is during that time, I made it out, right? I made it home, right? And then it was just like, then it was like, you know what? I'm not gonna keep lying to people about this shit. You know what I mean? Keep preaching and preaching the gospel that it's all good and that we're for when we got our highest level of individuals breaking their own constitution, breaking our bylaws, and then we're supposed to shut the fuck up and listen to them. Man, I ain't no hoe. You ain't gonna pimp me. You know what I mean? Period. You know, I got my own family, been had my own family, and I don't fucking need none of that. And they ain't never been with none of that. So it's like I learned about it, you know what I mean? But I wasn't gonna just drop out of it. It just wasn't gonna drop out of it. So I kind of was like, you know, and then all the whole, you know, oh, well, you can, you know, the filters came out, you can either come with us or go, and it'd be okay. And it was just like, you know, and I stuck around, you know, trying to help for the better. And then when my daughter died, motherfuckers took advantage, man. They took advantage of it. And then one of the guys, I saved him, you know, he was, you know, he had charges. The homies wanted to whack him. I saved him, you know, made sure he was cleared. You know, look, he's young. He doesn't really know, you know, he's a new guy. He's from a different area. So then they got deep. These Calvin guys got deep. Montalvin got deep. So, you know, and they already didn't like my boy from Richmond because he used to go over there, beat him up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And whatever their politics out there in Richmond are, you know what I'm saying? So they wanted him whacked. I didn't allow him to get whacked. I pushed a line for that. They didn't like me for that, you know. And so then it just, the time ran up. Now they had power, you know, they had power. They had a group of individuals. They were tapped in with individuals. And, you know, it was like, hey, this dude's got to, you know what I mean? We want to, you know, get him out of here. You know what I'm saying? And they were trying to just keep me on freeze and be like, fuck that, man. I'm not going to be on freeze. You know, you ain't going to put me on freeze. I'm a fucking soldado. You're not going to put me on freeze. How you guys going to put me on freeze? You can't put me on freeze. I ain't done shit. I've been through this situation. I've had it cleared time and again. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not on freeze, you know? So while I was down doing push-ups, I had a guy on my back doing push-ups. Another guy named Animal from Concord came up, sliced my face. That's what's right here. And then homie from Butters, which was my celly, he was the bomber. He bombed on me, and then I started fighting with him. But I wasn't trying to fuck them up because it was like I was just trying to get him the fuck off me, and then trying to get in on Animal so I could stab his ass. And so Butters kept coming at me. Then there was another homie kicked me or hit me. I don't remember. But then I started fighting with both of them, and I grabbed Butters and threw Butters into the other guy and tried to get inside. And because my adrenaline was pumping so much and my face was leaking, like I was wobbly legs, so I fell down. I hit the door, fell down, got back up, went inside, and I had a piece. But by that time, the cops was coming in and shit like that. You know what I mean? So bam, you know what I mean? And then my face was just leaking. And then the lady, she was like, oh my God. So she put my sweater to my face and shit, and I got stitched up. So then while I'm down there, they put me on Q module. So now I'm on involuntary PC, right? And these guys roaming around, I didn't say shit. I was like, man, I fell on the machine, right? That's how I cut my face, you know? They didn't find no nothing, you know? So bam. All these guys get out the hole, but they keep me in the hole. And I'm like, what? I'm like, look, man. I said, why can't I go back to the module? You know, they'd be like, Bill, because, you know, this kind of soul, you know, you got to be kept. I said, about B module? I'm still, there's still Northern B module. Why can't I go to B module? Ain't nothing happened on B module. And so this guy named Chino was Stuart Nagata, fucking bastard from Fairfield, right? But he claims Richmond, right? He little weenie. I recruited him into the Struggle Foundation too in San Quentin, and this fool is straight poodle, man. But I mean, he's done some things. But still, it's him as a character. He's a poodle, and so he pushed this line on it. And I knew that they were going to sell me up with them. Said, oh, you get along with Stuart? And the guy was like, yeah, I get along with him. And I was going to just get in there and smash him. But he tells the cops, I can't come in there. He says, I can't be a celly. He says, if he comes here, the same thing's going to happen to him here. So he rats me out. You know what I mean? These fools rat me out. You know what I mean? So it's like, now I'm on involuntary PC. I'm stuck up in here in Q module, walk alone. You know what I'm saying? And I got to make reports to who? I don't got nobody to report to no more. You know what I mean? And these guys are just, their voice is just, snubbing me out. And so I'm supposed to be this fucking punk poodle fucking who just got sliced. You know what I mean? So nah, you do me dirty, I'll fucking do you dirty. You fuck me, I'm gonna fuck you back. And so, people want to call it what it is, say what it is, say what it is. You can call me whatever you want to. Fuck me, I fuck you back. Keep it gangster, I'm gonna keep it gangster, period. And it's just like that. So now I'm just doing me, man. I'm just doing me, man. Trying to live life the right way and be a dad to my daughter, man. Fuck it. If I'm a piece of shit, I'm a piece of shit, man. I'm dad. I'm daddy to my daughter, and that's all I need to be, and a man in my family. I still fuck with my family. I still get out. I'm living life like anybody else. But, I ain't claiming nothing. I ain't claiming none of that. Like, I was going to this one homie's clubhouse and shit like that. Can't even go no more because these homies from the Bay are supposedly pushing a line on that. But I don't give a fuck. Push the line, whatever. You know what I mean? Push your line in your lane and stay there. You know what I mean? I'm keeping my lane, staying in my line with what I'm aligned with. All the other, I don't got no business there. Okay, fine. I don't need to be around nobody. I got one homie there, and that's who I fuck with. I fuck with that one guy. The rest, I don't care, man. I don't need to be cool with none of y'all. I ain't no kid no more where I need acceptance. Oh, please accept me. Yeah. And so the moral to the story is you can put all the motherfucking work in, all the time and effort in. You know what? Hey, unless you're ready to do life in prison, be dead, man, it's not going to work, man, because eventually there's going to be a power struggle. There's going to be a power struggle, especially for somebody who's doing triple, quadruple life in prison. They're going to make sure that the agenda in there is being pushed. And if you're not following along with that agenda, then the agenda is going to get pushed on you, And if that's what you want to do and that's how you want to live, then, hey, you know what? Live that life, man. It's your life. Push your line. Do what you do. Because I know when I was repping, I pushed my line. I was doing what I did. And could nobody tell me different because that's what I wanted to do. So I'm doing what I want to do now, living life, trying to figure it out, how to be a productive member of society. And eventually, teach kids, man, hey, I could have been a good kid, man. I could have done much more with my life. Now I'm struggling. Now I'm having to take cooking jobs, breaking my back for other people, labor jobs, just to try to scrape by rather than getting that good attorney job or, or rising to where I'm in the management position, stuff like that, but, it ain't over. So now I run my own business. I just have to be an entrepreneur, do my own thing. It's a struggle, but, at the end of the day, it's well worth it.
Amazing. Good story. Good story, bro. I knew some of that stuff, obviously, you know what I mean? But yeah, bro.
Yeah, man. But
you're doing the right thing now. That's all that matters.
Yeah. we're gonna have to get on the cooking channel, man. See what you got on them. What you want to do? Some ribs or something? A tri-tip or something?
I'm down. They're always asking me to do some
yeah, we need to do a collab
like
on that. We need to talk some shit, man. Collab on that, barbecue something up and talk some shit. Cause I know we got a few more things to talk some shit on. You know what I mean? We could subject, you know, concepts,
For
subject
sure.
matter. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of subject matter to discuss. There's a whole lot of things I've been wanting to tap in on what you guys were discussing on before, a few of them subjects.
Yeah,
So,
hey, I go live almost every day too. You ever want to pop into a live?
okay.
I can send you the link. We could chop it about whatever, you know what I mean? But hey, I appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to your day, man. That was a nice solid hour. But hey, the message that you just gave at the end is the message I preach every day. That'll lead to death or life.
Right.
And not the kind of life where you're out there living and being your own business owner and
not gonna happen,
being able
man.
to raise your kids and shit like that, you know?
Right.
Some other dude's gonna be raising your kids.
Sancho.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, this is Payaso from Concord. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna drop this immediately, man. Have a good rest of your day, brother.
All right, brother. You too, Rojo.
Yes, sir.
Yep.